Hey, what's up? I'm Josh Shideler, Public Information Officer for Houston TranStar. This is Talk Traffic to Me, and today's guest host is Mariana Cano, bilingual lifestyle blogger for the blog Yo Mariana. Mariana, welcome. Can you start off today by talking to us about who you are and what you do, and tell us a little bit about your blog?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Mariana. I have a Houston lifestyle bilingual blog. It's called Yo Mariana. I have a website, yomariana.com. And basically what I do is I've been living in Houston for 15 years. And when I first got to the city, I started exploring it and discovering it as a tourist. And I loved it so much. So I continued to discover things to do around the city with my lens and just share it with my audience, because this city has so much to offer. We have opera, theater, museums, every single sport, parks. So it's a wonderful place to explore and drive around, obviously.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I encourage TranStar's followers to look at your site and your social media profiles as well, because you publish some really cool content. So keep up the great work. And again, I'm glad to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So the name of this show, Mariana, is Talk Traffic to Me. Let's jump in. Where do you want to start?
Perfect. I've had a tour of the facilities, and I have to say Houston TranStar is amazing. All the work that you guys do here is really, really incredible. And my first question is, I have a 16-year-old daughter. She's about to start driving, which can be really exciting, but also a little bit scary at the same time. So what advice could you give to all teenagers driving around town? And also, what's the most common driving error you've seen on teenagers on the roads?
That's a great question. First of all, a very exciting time. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Mariana, the first thing that comes to my mind is distracted driving. All of us are addicted to our phones, right? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of us glued to our mobile devices. It's so important as parents that we talk to our kids about distracted driving, teaching them to put those phones away and concentrate 100% on the task of driving when behind the wheel. Model that good behavior, and they'll watch and they'll learn that, but that is so important. Another thing I think important to mention, Mariana, is that kids should learn what to do in an emergency situation, right? Have a plan. What happens if they break down on the freeway? What happens if they get a flat tire? Who do they call? What do they do? Those sorts of things are important to talk about before emergencies happen. And hopefully we're preparing them for emergencies that don't ever take place. But it's important to be prepared. And as far as freeways go, they should know if something happens on the freeway, don't stop, don't get out of your car, get to the nearest exit, get off to a safe spot before you try to look at what's going on with your vehicle. So I think those are some important things.
No, definitely. And I think it's a great refresher also for us as adults to remember what we're supposed to do. And I will have this conversation with my daughter, of course. And also, I was born and raised in Mexico City, as you know, is one of the largest cities in the world. El DF, exactly. And of course, when I came to Houston, I learned all the different driving rules before I got my Houston's driver's license. And I thought I was prepared to drive in Houston, but I've also seen that there are several cultural differences that nobody told me about, like honking the horn, or maybe how everybody drives so fast in the freeways. So what advice could you give to someone who's coming to Houston for the first time and is going to be driving in Houston for the first time?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think moving to Houston, really moving to any city, it's so important to learn the transportation system as quickly as possible. Know your route, get out there and practice. And if you don't do it on a weekday, wait for a weekend, a Saturday or a Sunday when the roads are a little less heavily trafficked. But it's so much easier to travel when you know where your exit is going to be. So you're not trying to cut across 3 or 4 lanes last minute, putting yourself in danger and other people in danger. So knowing the system, I think, is important. But, you brought up a good point about cultural differences, right? In Mexico City, a little honk of the horn is not mean, right? It's just, please move, or hey, the light is green. But in Houston, I feel like if someone honks at me, they're mad at me. Like,
Exactly.
I'm doing wrong. I'm driving the speed limit, or I used my signal.
Exactly.
It feels different here. So you're 100% right. There are some cultural differences. I think it's important to learn the system as quickly as possible, and that's your best bet.
Wonderful, definitely. And then mi última pregunta, que me encanta que sea en español, muchas gracias por tomarla en español, es
Sí, claro.
¿cómo podemos aprovechar mucho más toda esta información que da Houston TranStar? O sea, ¿dónde los encontramos?
Una pregunta en español. Mariana, no hablo 100%, pero voy a hacer lo que puedo para contestar.
No, ya tuvimos oportunidad de platicar en español y hablas muchísimo mejor de lo que crees.
Gracias. Bueno, para aprovechar nuestras herramientas o recursos, los servicios de TranStar, te animo a bajar nuestra aplicación móvil de gratis. Es una aplicación que muestra las condiciones de tráfico en tiempo real. También pueden marcar nuestro sitio de web para volver a visitar nuestra mapa de tráfico antes de salir de casa, antes de salir del trabajo, para que se antoje en tráfico. Tráfico que tal vez, quizás pueden evitar.
Claro.
¿Qué más? Somos muy activos por Facebook, las redes sociales, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Y Mariana, creo que con eso he completamente agotado mis habilidades hablar español. But again, before we leave, tell folks how can they follow you on social media before we sign off.
Of course, I'm on Instagram as Yo Mariana Blog, and my website is yomariana.com.
Great. Well, Mariana, thank you again very much for being here. I'm so glad we could have this chat today. Keep up the great work, and let's stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.